meeting of Sedgemoor District Council on Wednesday, the 24th of March 2021. I'll hand over to Andrew now.
Thank you very much, members. Hopefully, members, everybody can hear me. Just to say, in the event of a technical problem, if it affects a large number of members and we run the risk of being in quorum, we will then adjourn the meeting so that we can re-establish connections. Can I just make sure that everybody's microphone is on mute, just to cut down on the background noise? And just to say that today's meeting is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be made available on the council's committee pages and council's YouTube site in the next 2 working days. Format of today's meeting will be as per the agenda published that's been circulated, and I'll now hand over to Miss Wellman to conduct a roll call. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, members. When I call out your name, if you could confirm that you're present and that you can see and hear the proceedings, please. Starting with Councillor Barber, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I can hear and see everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bartlett.
Hello, Councillor Alexia Bartlett for Dunware. I confirm I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Bayliss, please.
Yeah, Councillor Bayliss can confirm I'm here and can hear everything.
Thank you very much. Councillor Betty.
Good afternoon, Councillor Anthony Betty of the King's Isle Ward. I can hear and see everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bolt, please.
Good afternoon, Brian Bolt. You can see and hear the whole meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Bradford.
Good afternoon, councillors. Good afternoon, officers. Councillor Alan Bradford representing North Petherton, and I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Councillor Bruce.
Good afternoon. Yes, Councillor Hilary Bruce representing Fairfax Ward in Bridgewater, and I can confirm that I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Caswell, please.
Good afternoon, members. Councillor Mike Caswell, I can clearly hear and see everything.
Thank you. Chairman of Council, Councillor Clayton, please.
Hi, Peter Clayton. As you said, Chairman of Council, and yes, I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cordner.
Yep, this is Councillor Cordner. I can hear everything. I can see everybody's image, but I'm not sure if everyone's got their cameras off because I can't see anybody.
That's absolutely fine, as long as you can hear, Councillor Cordner. Councillor Crowe, please.
Yes, Councillor Barry Crowe, I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dudridge.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Councillor Lance Dudridge from Bridgewater Victoria Ward, and I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Dyer. No to Councillor Dyer. Okay, Councillor Facey, please. No.
I know that Councillor Facey is having some IT difficulties, so
Okay,
at
I'll
the end
come
it might be come back to him. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Filmer.
Yep, good afternoon, Councillor Bob Filmer, Knoll Ward, and I can see and hear the whole meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Finneran.
Good afternoon. Yes, it's Councillor Finneran, Cheddar and Shipham Ward. I can see and hear everything clearly, although I can speak today.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gibson.
Yeah, hello all. Yeah, I can see and hear things. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Gilling.
Hello, yes. Thank you. I can, Councillor Gilling here, I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Glassford, please. Councillor Glassford. Okay, Councillor Godwin Pearson, please.
Good afternoon, Graham Godwin Pearson here from Maxvale. I can see and hear the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Granter.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Here, Councillor Graham Granter. I can confirm I can hear and see everybody loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Grimes, please.
Good afternoon, Councillor Tony Grimes, Barrow Ward. I can see and hear everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Councillor Harvey, Burnham Central, I can see and hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Healy, please.
Can you hear me okay? She's
Yes,
a bit
thank you.
sorry, thank you for that. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Healy. I can clearly see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hendry.
Sedgemoor District Councillor Alistair Hendry, I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Haywood, please.
Yeah, Tony Haywood, Eastover Ward, I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Human.
Councillor Human for Markham Wedmore, I can see you and I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keane.
Good afternoon, everyone. Janet Keane, Hydrogen Burnham Marine. I confirm I can see and hear the whole proceedings.
Thank you. Councillor Kingham. Councillor Kingham, I couldn't make that out. Would you mind repeating that, please?
Certainly. Good afternoon. Yes, I can hear and I can see everything.
Thank you, Councillor Kingham. You are very, very quiet, just so you know later on in the debate, but I did hear you just about. Thank you. Councillor Levy.
Councillor Levy, Hump Ward, I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Lilly.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Wellman. Councillor Dredge, Councillor Dredge asked me to pass on her apologies. She was unexpectedly detained.
Thank you. Councillor Matthews.
Yeah, Councillor Alan Matthews, Burnham Highbridge Marine. Oh, sorry, Highbridge and Burnham Marine. Yeah, I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McGinty, please.
Thank you, Melanie. Councillor Duncan McGinty, East Poldham Ward, I am present and can see and hear most things. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Methley, please.
Councillor Lisa Methley for Cheddar and Shipham. I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Councillor Mike Murphy for Burnham North. I can see and hear everything, Melanie.
Thank you. Councillor Pay, please.
Councillor Pay, I can confirm I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pearce.
Thank you. Councillor Cathy Pearce, Westover Ward, Bridgewater. I confirm I can see and hear everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perry, please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Yes, Councillor Liz Perry, Kings R Ward. I can confirm I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Councillor Redman.
Councillor Lee Redman, Councillor for Bridgewater Hamp Ward. I can hear and see. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Revens, please.
Good afternoon. Councillor Bill Revens from North Petherton Ward, leader of the Lib Dem group. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Riches.
Good afternoon, Councillor Charlie Richards from Shipham and Cheddar. Yes, I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez.
Afternoon. Oh, yes, I can see and hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Scott.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It's Councillor Liz Scott here from Axvale Ward, and I can confirm I can see and hear everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Slocum, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Councillor Jill Slocum, Deputy Leader and Councillor for Wyndham Ward. I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smedley, please.
Yeah, Councillor Brown Smedley for Westover Ward. I can see and hear everything. All of us I can see and see before we finish.
Sorry, Councillor Smedley, I didn't catch the end bit of that. It was just that you could see and hear everything, was it?
Yes, I could, but I just mentioned that I believe Councillor Glassford is present. Maybe you could ask again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Councillor Wong.
There's Councillor Revens here. I believe Councillor Wong has sent apologies. He's on jury service.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Woodman, please.
Good afternoon. Yes, I can see and hear everything clearly.
That's lovely. Thank you. So just going back, Councillor Dyer. Has Councillor Dyer arrived?
Yes, I can. I've managed to get in. I can see and hear everything clearly. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Facey.
Yes, good afternoon, Melanie. Apologise. I had to find a 2 and 6 coin to put in the meter, but I'm with you now, Melanie. White Facey, Burnham-on-Sea North.
Thank you very much, Councillor Facey. And Councillor Glassford.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Alec Glassford, Councillor for Fairfax Ward. I confirm I can see and hear everything.
Lovely, thank you. And I'm assuming Councillor Lilly is still not with us? No? Okay, that's it. Thank you. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Melanie. And we do have some officers with us. If we could introduce those, starting with Bob Brown, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I can see and hear everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Doug Bamsey.
Thank you, Chairman. Doug Bamsey, Deputy Chief Executive. I confirm I can hear and see. Thank you.
And over to you again, Melanie.
Yes, Melanie Wellman, Assistant Director, Legal and Governance, and I can confirm I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alison Turner.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Alison Turner, Assistant Director, Finance and Property, and I can confirm I can see and hear everything.
Thank you. Claire Fawn.
Hi, Claire Fawn, Corporate Relations Manager. Yes, I can hear and see everything. Thank you.
And Andrew Melhuse.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Can confirm I can hear everything loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, I believe there are other officers present observing the meeting today. Thank you. If we start the meeting proper then, if we go on to apologies, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. We have apologies today from Councillor Costello, Councillor Lilly and Councillor Wong. Thank you.
And if we move on to the minutes then, is everybody in agreement with the minutes on the 3rd of December and the 28th of January? Any matters of accuracy on those minutes, please?
Yes, please, Chairman. Just one from me, just to confirm that on the list of those present for the 3rd of December, it's got Councillor Tony Hayward listed, and unfortunately, Councillor Tony Hayward was not at that meeting. So it's just that amendment before they are put forward for approval. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments before I put them forward for approval? Nope. Everybody in agreement? No dissent?
So moved, Chairman.
So moved. Excellent. Declarations of interest. Does any member have any declarations of interest on any item on the agenda today, please? Nope.
Right. An indication from Councillor Pearce.
Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Chairman. I think I need to declare an interest on items 6.2 and 6.3 as I'm a member of the Homes in Sedgemoor Board.
Excellent, thank you. Any others?
Yeah, please, Chair, if I could, Councillor Dredge, I'll declare an interest, personal interest on 6.2 and 6.3. I'm also a member of the Homes in Sedgemoor Board.
Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez. I think you're on mute. If we go to Councillor Keane then.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I also declare an interest as a member of the Homes in Sedgemoor Board.
Right, we are having a number of camera issues today. If you could possibly, if you do wish to speak, if you could put it in the chat rather than hands up, because I can't see an awful lot of you. No other declarations?
Chairman, may I just confirm that those were all personal interests, so don't prevent the members from taking part.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. We move on then.
Chairman, before you move on, if I can declare an interest on all matters to do with Drainage Board.
Thank you, Councillor Gilling. Any more before I move on? No. Chairman's announcements then. I've only attended one thing recently, and that was yesterday, the Day of Reflection, and I attended a ceremony in Burnham-on-Sea. If we go on to public speaking, there is none today. And moving forward again, item 6, recommendations from executive and other committees. 6.1, senior pay policy. And I'll hand over to Councillor Julie Pay, who's going to propose this, and I believe Will Human is seconded.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to propose the recommendations as before you, set out before you.
Thank you. Councillor Human, are you there to second this? Would anybody else like to second it in Councillor Human's absence?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody wish to abstain or vote against this proposal, please? If you could say so now. So over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Chairman and members. That's just to confirm that agenda item 6.1, senior pay policy statement, to approve the 2 recommendations as submitted, and that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 6.2, Sedgemoor Sheltered Housing Review. And this is a recommendation from the Executive 10th of February, handing over to Councillor Duncan McGinty, who's going to propose.
Happy to propose the recommendation, which now puts us in compliance with the latest government rules with regard to sheltered housing service.
Councillor Slocum, you
happy to second that, Chairman.
Any debate, members? No. It's, so I'll put this then. Anybody against or wishing to abstain? No. Over to you again, Andrew, I think.
Thank you very much, Chairman and members. That's to confirm agenda item 6.2, Sedgemoor Sheltered Housing Review, that the changes are approved and will become compliant from the 1st of April 2021, and that was a unanimous decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6.3, the tenancy agreements. This is a recommendation again from the Executive on the 10th of February. Handing over to Councillor Duncan McGinty.
Again, to bring us in line, 2 recommendations, one to approve the District Council tenancy agreement, and the second one to bring the Council's tenancy strategy in line from a fixed term tenancy in favour of lifetime tenancies. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Happy to second that, Chairman.
Thank you. Any debate on this, members? Anybody wishes to speak? No, then I will ask once again, anybody wishing to abstain or vote against this proposal? Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, members. So agenda item 6.3, the Sedgemoor District Council and Homes in Sedgemoor tenancy agreement. The 2 recommendations are unanimously carried. Thank you.
Excellent. Item 6.4, Capital Strategy 2021-22. This again is a recommendation from the Executive, but from the 17th of March 2021. Handing over to Councillor McGinty, Leader of Council.
Thank you, Chairman. Happy to propose the recommendation, which is to approve the Capital Strategy Report for 2021-22 for Council's approval.
Thank you.
Happy to second that, Chairman.
Thank you. Any debate on this one, members? No, then I'll ask anybody wishing to abstain or vote against. Please say so now. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, members. Agenda item 6.4, Capital Strategy for 2021-2022 is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6.5, Investment Strategy, Non-Treasury 2021-22, a recommendation again from the Executive on the 17th of March 21. Councillor McGinty, Leader of Council.
Thank you, Chairman. Happy to recommend to Council the investment strategy, which is in line with the current SIPFA rules and regulations. Thank you, Chairman.
And happy to second that recommendation, Chairman.
Thank you. Any debate on this, members? No. Then I'll move to a vote. Anybody wishing to abstain or vote against, please say so now. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Members, agenda item 6.5, Investment Strategy, Non-Treasury for 2021-2022 is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. If we go on to item 7, Portfolio Holder Reports, if we start with Leader of Council, Councillor McGinty. Any questions for Councillor McGinty, please? Yes, Councillor Brian Smedley.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think obviously I welcome the opportunity to support the leader in his report here, because he does talk about working together during this national emergency. And I think that's right that we do that, because there's often confusing messages coming down from central government, but we need to be as clear as we can to our local communities. Particularly also welcome the reference he made to the recent budget set, where proposals from the Labour groups and the Liberal Democrat groups were included in that, particularly bids to increase funding for climate change. And I'm particularly interested in the two eyesores in Bridgewater that we identified, the Salmon Parade Hospital and the Classic Buildings. If he has any further reports on that or updates on how we're going to progress that, I'd be interested to know. And finally, as regards the Stronger Somerset case, which is referenced there, it's quite important that we work together on this one, because the alternative, the one Somerset bid, is a bit of a threat to local democracy, an existential threat for Sedgemoor, certainly. And of course, with no county elections taking place at the moment, the county won't be held accountable at the moment during that phase for any of their, what you might call, hegemonic sort of tendencies. So I would like to know from the leader if he's got any particular suggestions how we can increase awareness in the Stronger Somerset case and wave the banner that little bit higher to actually engage the public in what might be seen as a lukewarm campaign so far.
Thank you, Councillor Smedley, for that. With regard to plans for the two buildings mentioned, or the two sites mentioned in Bridgewater, clearly officers are at the moment working up a plan, and as soon as that plan for the instigation of the funds and the proposals is in place, members will be consulted upon it. But that's where we are at the moment. With regard to Stronger Somerset 1 Somerset, I'd like to say we will be producing regular newsletters, which are also will be available on the Stronger Somerset website. And I think I make no apologies for saying that I think the government's consultation process is flawed, and it's not accessible very easily by members of the public. So we will be seeking a way in which members of the public can be consulted and their views taken.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Kathy Pearce, did I miss you? Did you wish to speak?
Not on this item, Chairman. No. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bill Revens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to thank the Leader for his comments around the cross-party working which we have managed to put in place over the last year. It has been a refreshing change to get everybody on board with so many positive things that are happening. I'm pleased to note that he's talked about the lateral flow centre based at Bridgewater Rugby Club, but also just want to mention the area vaccination centre at North Petherton Rugby Club. It was my turn for a jab yesterday, and everything is so incredibly efficient there. It really is such a positive thing that's going on, bringing the whole community together and getting us out of this ridiculous situation we found ourselves in for the last year. Speaking of ridiculous situations, I had the pleasure of attending a number of scrutiny committees at Somerset County Council, at which the administration at Somerset County Council has produced some 3 expensive reports written by so-called independent consultants about the Stronger Somerset case, with the startling conclusion that that it would be less disruptive to carry on running county council services on a county-wide basis. It's a little bit like looking at the toilet habits of bears in the woods, as far as I'm concerned. I'm interested in your comments about the consultation being flawed, and I was wondering whether the district councils have any plans to put forwards any analysis of the One Somerset proposals in a similar vein, and how might those be costed? Thank you.
Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. On the last point first, I'm sure we will examine the One Somerset case and publish our findings in due course. I think probably what's more important is to outline the positives of any alternative bid, rather than knocking any co-bid that's in there, and how much better and more responsive alternative bids may be to a one unitary throughout Somerset. And I think that's what we will be concentrating on. I'm grateful for the comments of both Councillor Evans and Councillor Smedley over the inclusion of items within the budget. I think it probably shows, rather than one putting forward something on somebody else putting forward something else, there is actually very little difference with us when it comes to taking care of our communities. And I hope that fostered cooperation will continue at least for another year, certainly in the run up to an election, because it can only pay positive benefits for our communities. And that's what we're all here to serve. Thank you.
Excellent. Any more comments from the Leader of Council? If not, then I'll move on to the Deputy Leader, Councillor Slocum. Any questions for portfolio holder for inward investment and growth? Councillor Kathy Pearce.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I have questions on 3 paragraphs. The first one being paragraph 2, nuclear fusion. We have received brief information to groups on this, but there are still a lot of unknowns as to the layperson, of which I'm one, about nuclear fusion, its viability and its safety. And whilst it's good we are looking at decarbonisation, I do worry that we're just swapping one hazard for another. So what are the implications if the expression of interest is successful, especially to those nearest communities? And how have towns and parishes been consulted on how will they be consulted in the future? And really, why aren't we pursuing a green energy policy that doesn't result in potentially deadly waste, is my first questions. I don't know if the portfolio holder would rather take them one by one, or I'll just rattle through them all.
That would be easy if I could take them one by one, if that would be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think the word nuclear does sort of like you think, oh gosh, you know, but this is something I think that the decarbonisation energy is a great way of being able to use the nuclear. So the land areas, I've tried to give as much detail as I can. And obviously there has been some consultation, and no doubt there will be more. At the moment, it's just expression of interest. The area will be called, we're now looking at the area being at the Hinkley Point area, which I think is a much safer, I think people will feel happier there, and it will be called the Bridgewater Bay. So we've had that confirmation, but I'm happy to give you more detail if you want, as and when I get this. We're in the early stages, but I think it is something that is been asked for by the government for us to look at. So, but I'm happy to come back to you, Councillor.
Thank you. I think as many of us as possible are fully informed as possible, obviously, and when decisions have been made. The second item is on paragraph 5, which relates to Hinkley Point, and it is a tenuous link to the jetty, but concerns have been raised over proposals to dredge Bridgewater Bay in relation to Hinkley Sea and disposal of the dredge wastes further up the channel. I just wonder, do we have any information on data relating to this? As a coastal district, it obviously potentially impacts us significantly. And the other question relating to Hinkley Sea activities are about the decision to remove the acoustic fish deterrents from the plant. And there are fears that have been expressed about the impact on fish species in the Bristol Channel. And I understand it's currently going through the planning process. And my question is really, how is Sedgemoor District Council involved, and how can we access more information on that?
Okay, thank you very much. I think those questions are quite in depth, and I don't know whether Mr. Bamsey would be able to give me a little bit more detail on what I've got. I've given as much as what I've got, but could I ask for Mr. Bamsey to come in, please?
Thank you, Deputy Leader. If I might, Chairman, just very quickly on both those matters, they're matters that are being dealt with by the Environment Agency and the Marine Management Organisation. I think rightly so, believe they have the expertise and the knowledge and the understanding of the facts and the information, and therefore, as a local planning authority, we will rely on them, as I think we're absolutely able to make considerations of both of those. In terms of the acoustic fish deterrent system, I'm sure members are aware that there is an appeal following the Environment Agency's non-determination of that application, but neither of those two matters are ones that we believe we have the expertise or indeed the standing to be directly involved, so we're leaving it to others to deal with it, I'm sure, very adequately.
Thank you.
Thank
Leader
you.
of Council. Sorry, Leader, did you want to come in on this subject?
I just wanted to say, with regard to the fusion question, I think it would probably be helpful for all members if we take a briefing to the member drop-in session, which could fill in a few details when and if we get them. That may be helpful to all members.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got one final question on paragraph 14, planning policy. I understand that the planning white paper due out in spring will require local plans to be rewritten within 30 months and that current neighbourhood plans will be obsolete. Can the portfolio holder please confirm whether this is the case and how Sedgemoor will consult with towns and parishes, please?
Okay, I think we'll consult in the normal way that we always do. I think there's one thing about it is we want to make sure that everyone is fully versed, and I try to do that on most things, so I apologise if that's perhaps not come over. But we will find a way of making sure. At the moment, there's things that are being said that we're not quite always got all the information on, and it is a bit of trying to catch up on things. But I can assure you, as soon as we know that if that is the case, then we will come back and make sure the council is fully versed on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Phil Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question and comments were on paragraph 11, the Freeport bid. Freeport was always going to be difficult. It was a rather large geographical area compared with things like Solent and Plymouth. We crossed two LEP boundaries. We had the threat of, or the threat or promise of, local government reorganisation. So I suppose the government wasn't sure who it would be dealing with in a few years. But the portfolio holders report talks about the important joint working achieved with WECA, which should bode well for the future. So my question really is, how are we going in the future to work with this neighbouring LEP, and what lessons do you think we can bring to the process?
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. I think the Freeport bid was not a good bid. Unfortunately, it didn't capture everything it should have done. It didn't demonstrate the outcomes, and Plymouth gave a much more wider scope on this. So I think I'm ever the optimist, me. And you work with WECA, and I think what I'm trying to say is that this is not the end. Well, there won't be no more Freeports now. There won't be, but there will be other areas where we can work with. And I think that what I was trying to say was be a little bit more optimistic. It's very disappointing about the Freeport, but we have to pick ourselves up and move on.
Thank you. Councillor Charlie Richards.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank Councillor Slocum for the outline that she gives of the Levelling Up Fund. And I wonder at this point if perhaps we could just have a little bit more clarification. I'm sure others saw in the local media reports that Sedgemoor has been allocated £150,000 in this fund. You know, clearly we don't believe everything that we see in the media, but I wonder if that can be clarified. And secondly, with only one bid possible for each Westminster constituency, is there any more detail on how ideas that we may have as members will be sifted and prioritised, and how we're going to be consulted in the process, particularly as certainly the constituency where I am in Wells includes both Mendip and Sedgemoor? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richards. I think that the Levelling Up Fund is a difficult one because it's going over constituencies, as you're so right. And as I tried to put in there, bids can be up to 20 million. it will be a case of us talking to our MPs, making sure that we get the right information to them for them to support us. But what we have decided to do, because at the moment there are so many bids at the moment that really it can be quite confusing as I'm finding myself. We've got the levelling up, we've got the community renewal, we've got the community assets, the welcome back, and then the NDA. So what we've decided is that what we want to do is put that all into into some assembly for you, for all members, and with clear clarity. I just wanted to let you know that there's the Levelling Up Fund is coming our way, but I think what I want to do is give a proper sounding of everything sent out to members, so members know. So, and we've actually put that in action, so that should be coming to you very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Lisa Methley.
Thank you. Councillor Slocum, I've noted in your report section 13 on the under construction programs, and these are two excellent programs to assist people with training and re-entering the workplace and being entrepreneurial. And I'm really pleased to see over 100 people have already started to use these programs. But I was quite surprised to see in the 100 Women First section the repeated use of the word ladies. This word carries damaging connotations associated with toxic femininity, specifically the expectation of a woman to be demure and gentle. And often when women are referred to as ladies, there's a patronizing undercurrent, which I absolutely don't think was your intention. However, those on the receiving end often see it as condescending. So the term ladies and its associated baggage holds women back and is contrary to what the 100 First Women program is aiming to achieve, which is, determined, empowered people that are asserting themselves in the business world. So as this council aims to be inclusive, diverse, and equal, I propose that the word lady is not used by the council, including in these reports. And I'd like to request that ladies is struck from this particular report and replaced with women, or to be even more inclusive, just with the word people in the description of both programs. It sounds like a minor point, but I think we have to walk the walk if we're going to talk about being inclusive and diverse. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mensley. I think it has to be said that that's under construction prefer this. They prefer to be called ladies, and they call and they diversify between the men for Sedgemoor against the ladies. So I think that's what they want to be called. It's 100 Women First. I am more than happy to take on board and say there are 24 women. It really, I don't see personally an issue, but I take your point. They prefer to be called themselves, and I take instruction from under construction because that's what they like. But I'm more than happy to. But we do need to put women and because there's a men's for Sedgemoor and the and the women for Sedgemoor. So I think we need to do. But more than happy. That's not. I have to go back to under construction to make sure that they are happy with this respectfully, because this is their area. But absolutely, that doesn't either way is fine. I think the purpose of this report was to actually tell you how well they've done in this extreme situation, how well they've come through and got people will eventually go back to work, keeping people's interest. I think the point of this is actually what a great area in this report this is.
Absolutely, and thank you very much.
Can I just, sorry, Andrew, I can't put something on the chat. Oh, it seems like I have. Could I make a comment, please?
Yes, carry on.
Sorry, I'd just like to agree with Councillor Methley about that. I thoroughly agree. Apart from making us sound like toilets and as if we should be riding a bicycle side saddle, I do find it rather sort of patronising. I totally agree with what she says. I appreciate what Councillor Slocum says as well. But I also think it contributes to very damaging representations of femininity. Just wanted to make that point known, but I understand what Councillor Slocum is saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I just also point out that some of these women are young, very young, so I think that's why that was instigated. But I will go back to under construction and we'll have a conversation. But the offence was certainly not meant in any way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments for Councillor Slocum? I think Councillor Lee Gibson's just agreeing with the previous comments. If not, speak up now. And if there is nothing else, then I'll carry on to Councillor Gilling, Infrastructure and Transport. Any questions for Councillor Gilling? Seems like you may have got.
Mr. Chairman, mine is housing, not infrastructure and some
Right.
such.
Okay, sorry, mistake on my printout here. Any questions for Councillor Gilling regarding housing? Nope. Thank you for that. Customer access and digital delivery, Councillor Dredge. Any questions? Councillor Lisa Methley.
Yes, thank you. Well, while the libraries in Bridgewater House are closed, Councillor Dredge, some clients are being forced to use their mobile phones to access the council services. And that's a serious problem and indeed a blocker that clients using iPhones are unable to access any page of the council website. A few of us have reported this already, and I know it's being addressed, but could you please update the council on the priority afforded to this issue? And if known, give an indication of when it might be fixed? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I'm very flattered, actually. I think that's the first question I've had in 2 years. I was beginning to feel a bit neglected, but yeah, this is something that we're working on at the moment. I can't give you a date for when we could have some positive results at the end of it. It is a problem. It's not every iPhone either, I don't think. It's only certain ones, which is the information that I've been given. It is a problem, obviously, by definition, with customer access. We're trying to be accessible as we possibly can to everybody. And as you quite rightly said, with all the libraries and the community hub shut where people could go along and have an hour on a laptop, it is a problem. I'll ask my officers if there's light at the end of the tunnel on this, how we're addressing it, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible if that's okay with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again for the question.
Thank you. Any more questions for Councillor Dredge?
Yes, please, Chairman. I did put in the chat box.
Yes, carry on, please.
Yeah, thank you. It's on paragraph 3 around the calls booking vaccinations, and it's a great piece of work. But I can't be the only one who's been offered a vaccination 3 times, and I just wondered, is there any attempt to coordinate this so that that wasted calls aren't made? And it's better to receive 3 calls than none. I realise that, but it's clear from today's agenda there's so much going on and so much work. Just in trying not to duplicate efforts would be a good thing. I just wondered if any attempts were being made to address this.
Attempts are certainly being made. How successful those attempts are at the moment is another issue, because since we started doing the calls, well, some time ago now, months ago now, there has been this issue with a lot of duplication. The lists we're having come down from the CCG and people like that aren't great. As you said, it's far better somebody gets 3 calls rather than none. I think, I haven't got the figures in front of me, I think as a percentage, the amount of duplicate calls was about 35%. Don't hold me to that, but it was round there. And obviously this is a waste of our staff's time when they're sort of inundated with calls anyway. The last set of figures I saw, they are a little bit better. So I think as we're swinging round now, certainly, to start on the calls for the second jab, so those figures are looking a bit better. But I get you some concrete figures and let you at them if you'd like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McGinty.
It is unfortunate that there are duplicate calls, but I will say that the feedback from the calls that we've been getting and have been made by our members of staff are very complimentary in the way in which we have dealt with people on the phone, and certainly I believe those calls from members of our staff rate amongst the top 10% in customer service. So that is good news indeed.
Excellent, thank you. Any further questions? Then I'll go back to infrastructure and transport. Councillor Mike Caswell. Any questions? Oh, sorry.
I did ask to make a comment.
Oh, yeah. Carry on, please.
Thanks. It was Councillor Dredge. It's about the customer panel. That's a healthy number of people on there, 220. I just wondered whether you could let me know whether we'll be, as members, receiving data about any of that feedback that you get, please, from the panel.
Yeah, I can't see that being a problem. Perhaps it's something we should have thought of before. I know we've also got several members on the panel, so several members are involved in that way. But yeah, I'll ask. I'm sure we get some figures on what the sort of responses are that we do get, and we can break it down into probably fairly good detail for you as well. So yeah, if it's okay with you, I'll get something sent through. Okay.
Thank you. It'd be interesting to know what sort of kind of areas those questions are being asked on and what kind of feedback you get. That'd be really useful. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot at the moment is to do with the customer access program. We're testing out forums, and then when we get new processes on the website, we're seeing what response is like to them if they need fine tuning. But yeah, I'll certainly get you some information, and then hopefully we can send that out to everybody.
Lovely. Thank you.
So, Councillor Lee Redmond.
Chair, forgive me, I was slightly preempted, but my question was for Councillor Caswell, so I'm happy to wait if you haven't moved on.
Okay, any further questions for Councillor Lance Dredge? No, then we'll start with you then, Lee.
Thank you. It's good to see that Councillor Dredge was getting some questions, a bit like buses. You get none for ages, then a few come along at the same time. Chair, my question is in relation to section 4, connecting Devon and Somerset. I've been approached recently by a number of local residents in and around the Bridgewater area seeking some clarification. A number of vehicles and various works have been taking place. The sign writing on the vehicles are indicating by a company called Jurassic Fibre. And in some cases, the works has been impacting local connections. So my questions are, is this company part of connecting Devon and Somerset? If so, or if not, what does Sedgemoor know about this company and the works they are doing locally, please?
Well, Councillor Redmond, thank you very much. It's one of those things that's landed on my desk within the last 2 or 3 days, especially around the Chiltern Trinity area. I had to contact Jurassic direct to see what they were doing actually in the area, and apparently they have a remit from central government that they can go along, but using the open reach material. They're not allowed to dig up private roads. They're not allowed to go on private land. They're not allowed to do anything. They're just actually, what was the old expression that my father used? Flying a kite, I think. They are actually not registered with CDS. The only company that's registered by CDS in the Sedgemoor area, well, the southern part of the Sedgemoor area we'll take from about Rooksbridge downwards, is Airband. Above that, it's True Speed. Those are the two major ones that are affecting our area. So Jurassic, anybody that comes across them can actually tell them to go away.
Chair, can I come back?
Yeah, did you want to come back?
Councillor Caswell, thank you very much for that. It's very helpful. If you wanted to, I can, in my own ward up here in Hamp, I can show you 3 separate areas that have been dug up by Jurassic recently. And I know that a fellow councillor, Councillor Loveridge, was indicating that his connection was being affected by the works that they were carrying out there. So should you wish to dig any deeper, I'm happy to help you in that.
Please do. That'd be absolutely wonderful, Councillor. I would welcome those photographs and details. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your report, Councillor Caswell. I was wondering whether we were still on track for the 2024 date for the Bridgewater barrier, please.
Well, yes, actually, and it's a special thank you to all the councillors that turned up for the internal drainage board meeting, where we actually negotiated the way out of the objection they had to it. And that was really, really good news. I can actually report that we are on track for that. There has been a further injection of funding of £300,000 from the SRA. So I'm really, really on speed for this, and I really pushing for the 2024, and hopefully that will be the date. As I said, we are only a part funder of this. We are not the controlling interest. That is the Environment Agency and the central government. So, yeah, we are pushing as hard as we possibly can from the Internal Drainage Board as well to get this well underway by 2024.
Thank you. Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to say, if highway works are taking place on the public highway, whether it be by a cable or broadband company, then the permission would almost certainly have been granted by Somerset County Council, and perhaps one or two of our county councillors would be able to find out more information than we would have access to.
If I can come back, thank you, Leader. That's exactly what I was going to do.
Thank you. Any other questions for Councillor Caswell before I move on? No, then we'll move on to commercial.
Oh, hang on, just a second, Chairman. I just said there has been a further development with regards to connecting in Devon and Somerset. If I can find my glasses, I don't know. The government have announced a third tranche of £100 million worth of investment, and it's called the Gigabit Connectivity. You have to excuse me, I've been to the dentist and I still haven't got all my teeth. So that will give around about £80,000, 80,000 homes fibre to the door. So this is further funding. It's called Project Gigabit, and you can get it on the government website. And we're there. So that's even more money going in to make sure that our people in our rural villages, especially, are covered by the new CDS proposals. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Moving on then, commercial and asset management. Councillor Mark Healy, I believe Councillor Brian Smedley wishes to ask a question.
Yeah, I do. Thank you very much. Councillor Healy, you know, we've always supported the Northgate project right from the start, since it became confirmed as a leisure predomination. But what I'm concerned about in your report is the sudden emergence of the word Northgate Yard. I'm not entirely sure where that's come from. There's certainly been no consultation with ward members, and definitely not with local historians, who would say that word has got no connection with the local history of the place. That area historically was either called Blackland, which is a site of some previous settlement, which is connected to the Blackland Street nearby, or brewery, because there was a brewery there once, or Splash in recent years. Northgate is even a bit tenuous itself, because of Northgate is across the road, but it's an accepted compromise out of all of those. So Northgate Yard is strange. So I'd just like to know where that has come from, and hopefully it's just a temporary working title until you settle on something more suitable. Could you explain it a bit, please?
Yes, Councillor Smedley, thank you for that. I'm not going to say I know completely about the history of Bridgewater. That would be untrue. I think you're far more aloof to that than I am. But I'm led to believe it's something to do with the brewery that was there. But what I might do in this instance, if I may, if you'll accept this, is call on Mr. Bamsey to answer part of the question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Healy. We have decided on the name, and we decided on a name that was distinctive, gave it a focus in terms of an address, and in the knowledge that the word Northgate is a road, it's a car park, it's a school. That's why we concluded that Yard was works. We also did so with the expertise of a company that's going to market the site for us and give us overall identity and so on. So I absolutely understand what Councillor Smedley is saying in terms of the precision of a word, but fundamentally we think we need a fairly simple, easy to identify identity for this, and the word Northgate is the one that we settled on because that is the simplest thing, and that's what people tend to call it. Anything else would be confusing, so it's to give it a specific reference and also at the same time respect its reference back to the brewery and so on. So that's why we think that's a very credible name.
Thank you. Leader, did you want to come in on this?
No, I'm quite happy. I mean, there is a logic to the choosing of the name. Happy to furnish that to all members. It is steeped in history, as is the symbol that is used with the Northgate Yard publicity.
Thank you. Councillor Smedley, you wish to come back?
Not objecting to the word Northgate, just objecting to the word yard and sudden emergence of the word yard without any consultation. I did, since I saw the report, I mentioned it to several historians who were not very happy at the choice of that word. They say there is no historical connection to it. There's not even a descriptive value to it either. It's not a yard. A yard is an enclosed area. It's not a yard. I mean, Celebration Mile and a Northgate Yard, is it a small yard within that mile? Doesn't make any sense. Sorry. I think it needs a bit more historical relevance, and for a marketing company to suggest that, I'm surprised. Sounds like developerese to me.
Thank you for that, Councillor Smedley. You say, you've been to several historians locally, which is great. Maybe, and if Mr. Bamsey doesn't mind and the rest of the council doesn't mind, you may come up with a separate proposal that we could actually discuss at a different venue. Because clearly I know I always respect the fact of your historical knowledge of Bridgewater. So if that's not too presumptuous of me, I'm looking for the leader of council to acknowledge what I've just said. Yeah, why not, if that's okay?
Okay, I've got Councillor Julie Cordiner. Doug Bamsey, did you want to come back in now?
I'm just going to say I don't want to get too involved in a debate about Northgate, but I think fundamentally we've decided on a name, and albeit it may not be perfect, and I'm sure we'll have people with different views understanding what Councillor Smedley said. I think fundamentally we wanted a place that we could identify and we could use effectively marketing in it, and I think that's what we've done.
Councillor Julie Cordiner.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I agree with Councillor Smedley. I just think Northgate Yard kind of sounds like what it is, marketing speak, and maybe some input from the people of Bridgewater in a name might have been a better option than just allowing the marketing strategy people to do it.
Thank you for that. It did go in front of the executive, I think, at one of our meetings, or a meeting of portfolio holders, and it was discussed in great depth. I mean, Councillor Slocum came up with a different name. I came up with something, so did other people. But I have a tendency, and no disrespect meant to members of the council, to agree with Mr. Bamsey, where we are in a position, we need to go forward. The building is going to commence shortly, and really, really importantly, we need to market this quickly, even though we've got people have committed to it. Clearly, like any other commercial aspect, and we need to bring other businesses into Sedgemoor as well. So I hope that's sort of not pacifies you, Councillor Smedley, but gives you a reason.
Thank you, Leader. Do you want to come in on that?
I just wanted to say, I mean, we're happy to hold a briefing session for local ward members to give them an insight into the reasoning and the purpose of the name. Happy to do that. Yeah.
Thank you. I've got quite a few names now. Councillor Mike Murphy, Councillor Lee Redmond, and Councillor Hilary Bruce. If there are any more, please could you stick it in the chat? Councillor Mike Murphy. Councillor Murphy.
Is that okay, Chairman? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now, yeah.
Thank you. I have to say, just on that last subject, as a marketing man, it's very difficult to find a name that sticks to a project. And personally, I like the word yard because it means a place you can play. So it's kind of, so I would just like to say that. Is it appropriate? I don't know if Councillor Healy is going to make a report on the investment programme. If he is, I'll keep my question for later. If he's not, I'll ask the question now.
Please ask the question now. Unlike Councillor Dredge, of course, my buses are coming one after the other, so it's great
well,
news, great news. Thank you.
And I've read I really thought your report was excellent, Councillor Healy, and I read it, I understood it, and I know how difficult investment is. I saw that you called it, we've suffered a hit, which is a popular way of saying we've had
a 5% reduction in capital values, which is a shame really, because you're really trying very hard. But over the last 2 years, we've seen a decline in retail, characterised with the retail store losses and reductions in store numbers. John Lewis announced 8 stores to close this morning. But in the last months of the Property Investment Board, you endorsed even more investment in the retail sector, making our investment in retail the largest, and by doing so, you've exceeded your agreed investment parameters. Could you explain to us the logic behind increasing investment in retail, which is greatly oppressed at this difficult time?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm happy to answer that. Clearly, why wouldn't it be? Yes, we've, as you said, quite rightfully so. We've invested more recently in retail, but the retail, ladies and gentlemen and members, is actually food retail. Now, food retailers are on a having a really great time, unfortunately, in these unfortunate times, because people are shopping for food, and food is the last bastion. I'm delighted to say, and Councillor Smedley and Councillor Revens were at all our meetings, as you are, Mr. Murphy, and I'm grateful for that we've invested nearly £10 million in Bridgewater alone just recently. I don't know whether I'm at liberty to tell you the names of the retailers, but I think we all go shopping in them on a daily basis. I certainly do. And they're the outlets now that are actually making money. So I feel personally, with officers, with Montague Evans, they're sound investments. Clearly, if I may pursue that, you know as well as I do, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in the most dire of times. This is not just a national problem of retail outlets, manufacturing business, etc. It's not even European. It's a global problem we have. And I sincerely say, and I mean it within my report, Sedgemoor District Council, commercial side, and I thank officers and ladies and gentlemen, I don't thank people lightly, but in this instance I do, because our investments are sound. Yes, we are negotiating with a number of people about the rental issues, etc., which I'm not at liberty, if you don't mind, at this moment to talk about, but we are in a position where we're discussing things. Yes, you're right about retail is hitting hard times, but it's time to adapt, and a lot of retailers are adapting. So I hope I'm answering your question, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Councillor. That's a very clear and very helpful. Your report states that Montague Evans have been instructed to look for more investment opportunities. Can you tell us which sectors you think you will invest in to improve your portfolio value and improve rentals?
Thank you for that question again. A very good question. When I say we are looking, that's all we're doing is looking. Looking costs nothing. Clearly, to be as you say, and I'm looking to yourself as an expert in this, development side of things. If we weren't looking, we're not doing our job properly. It doesn't mean to say at this moment in time we're going to go out and find a shed load of cash and spend it. I think we've got to be opportunists in the way we look forward. There will be some gems out there, but we don't know what they are at the moment. I think we'll be wrong as a council not to pursue, to look to the future, even though the future may not hold anything at this moment in time. Who knows what it's going to hold for the future? So I think the business strategy is sound.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. A good response. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that.
Leader of Council, did you want to come back in on that point?
Yeah, just to say that any further or future investments will be made according to the strategy we have in place and any possible funding. And that's the long and the short of it.
Thank you. Councillor Lee Redman.
Chair, thank you. Forgive me, part of my question has been answered by Councillor Healy, but I just wanted to make a quick point that I think really that I'm sure Mr. Bamsey didn't mean the tone that he came over with the words fundamentally we have decided. I'm sure that wasn't what he was giving the indication. It would be welcome. We've done a good job in bringing the people of Bridgewater along with us with this development, and any chances to continue that goodwill after, all of those wonderful trees were felled in one good go, which caused a bit of disruption. I would think the ability to name the area would be something that was quite good. So I welcome the fact that we'll be receiving a briefing paper with details of how the name came about. And I would hope that we'd be able to comment, and perhaps if it's felt that it wasn't adequate or sufficient, we might have the opportunity to change that in the future.
I don't know, I went for a walk.
Councillor Murphy, could you mute, please?
Sorry, Councillor Murphy's going for a walk, Councillor Redmond, at the moment. Thank you for that. And also, you know, I take on board what you said about the trees. I know I've heard from other members of the council some dismay about that, if you like. But we've all got to be realistic, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, whether I can say ladies at the moment. That's not a sarcastic comment. People, if that suits better. Bearing in mind, for the next 18 months to 2 years, there's going to be disruption. You know, there's going to be arris fencing going up. There's going to be all sorts. Now, what I do know, and I see Councillor Slocum nodding before I've even said anything, is the fact the general public, local people, will be brought up to speed on a regular basis. Hence the website that's going up. Hence the fact there'll be numerous, you know, updates all the time, because I find it really important as we go forward with this project, and it's, come on, ladies and gentlemen, it's the diamond, it's the jewel in our crown at the moment to show our way out of the COVID, to look at, you know, prosperity for the area, which I'm really keen on doing. But I'm really and Mr. Bamsey agrees, and so do other colleagues, is the fact we must keep the general public, you know, up to speed all the time, because bearing in mind, visually, the site will change. So to be forewarned is forearmed. So I know I thought I'd get that out in the open and inform you straight away.
Thank you for that. Councillor Hilary Bruce.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Councillor Redmond did say a lot of what I wanted to say, but I have to say it's not enough to bring people up to speed. You need to bring them with you. Community engagement is so important, and things like a name of a place actually really has such a great importance. I take offence almost to being told what it's being named, and not having been, as members who, you know, we all represent people in our wards, we represent their views and we can consult with them and bring that back to the council. So having no consultation on that at all and just being told what the name is, I really have to disagree with that. So it's not enough to just bring people up to speed. We need to bring them with us.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Bruce. You know, I do sympathise with that, but you know, it's the same in life as everything. We can all, mistakes are made, not wantingly, but maybe unwittingly. But as the leader of council said, you know, a paper's going to be brought forward to you. We've got, you know, let's see what happens in the future of that. But you know, yard at the moment it is. You could say it's a yard of ale from a male perspective. I don't know, you know, you can, I'm not trying to make light of it, but it is, because what one person likes, another person dislikes. So no matter what, with the greatest respect, no matter what name we'd come up with, somebody would not like it. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got 3 names on my list again: Brian Smedley, Bill Revens and Will Human. And I'll take Brian Smedley first then, please.
So I think Councillor Bruce hit the nail on the head there. I mean, it is a scant payback for the support we've given to this project over the years, and to name it and then to be told why you've named it rather than ask people why it should be named, or ask historians what a more relevant name would be, it is much more of a together way forward. Councillor Gibson put in the chat earlier on about Bob Marley would like it. Well, the other reference, of course, is to yards in Jamaica, which refer to the yards that the people worked in, the yards of the wealthy landowners. I wonder if you thought that when you were trying to come up with this name. I would strongly suggest your first inclination, Councillor Healy, of taking it back to the people and asking again would be a better one, rather than going back to the people and telling them why you think it should be like this.
And thank you for that, Councillor Smedley. And again, your historical facts are almost word perfect, to say the least. What I will say is that I will talk to Mr. Bamsey, I will talk to other colleagues. I'm not promising anything. I take on board exactly what you and other colleagues have said about this. Clearly, it's created a little bit of a concern. I can't promise anything. That would be wrong of me to make a statement without consultation. But if you accept what I'm saying, Councillor Smedley, I will have talks with people, and if I may come back to you personally, I'll do that with pleasure.
Thank you, Councillor Healy. There is a time limit on this item. If we could keep the questions, possibly not duplicate any, if we could. I'll start again then with Bill Revens. Councillor Bill Revens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your report, Councillor Healy. I recall asking a question a couple of years ago about commercial investment strategy, about why we weren't investing in Sedgemoor as a part of our commercial investment strategy, and got the reply that it was a conflict of interest. I very much welcome the change of heart, and I was wondering if you could give an explanation as to why we've changed policy on this matter, please.
Yes, and thank you for that. A really good question. Yes, 2 years is a long time. I've gone even greyer in 2 years. The reason for that is it makes commercial sense, Councillor Revens. At the time, no, that the investment wasn't there, but with new build coming on, with new people moving in, we found it that it would be a sound investment. There was always the object, why wouldn't, I remember questions from yourself and Councillor Smedley, why aren't we investing in Sedgemoor? Well, we've done exactly that. Now, there is and it's a sound investment. I say I'm not, at this moment in time, not prepared, that's too much a stronger word. I will take consultation before we give the names out, if we can do at the moment. But I feel quite proud of the fact we've invested nearly £10 million. It employs local people virtually all the time. It brings local business in. It circulates local money. I won't be a hypocrite though. I remember 2 years ago when I did say to you, to bring money from without into Bridgewater is a good commercial sound way of looking at business. But also over the 2 year period, as things changed, that it made total sense to those businesses, sound businesses. I will give out, they are virtually all food and ancillary products that are being dealt with. I won't say any more if you don't mind at this moment in time, but I was delighted at the time that people had listened. We'd moved away slightly, just to answer Councillor Smedley's former question and Councillor Murphy's question, moving away from things like DIY stores, etc. Because my personal argument with that, of course, is when COVID first came about, unfortunately a year ago, people were housebound and wanted a lot of things to do. So they were looking at DIY stores, etc. Bearing in mind, a year later, people have done that. I would imagine that DIY products are slightly shifted, but hopefully everybody will agree, commercially, it is food, it's the essential place to be. And if you look on the internet and look at the share values, it is food industries. I won't mention people's names, that's unfair, but they are on the incline rather than decline. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Will Human.
Oh, I've got 2 points to make now. Thank you, Councillor Healy. First point is, sorry to say this, Councillor Healy, but I think I have to support Councillor Smedley and co. And you people across the other side of the floor, because it seems rather extraordinary that the name that's going to sit with this site for the rest of its natural life hasn't even had the chance to have an airing with the councillors, let alone the members of Bridgewater. That's the first point. And the second is, I'm not sure I agree with your view of current UK economics, in that if you look at current equity markets, it is most definitely DIY stores that are running well ahead of the rest of the commercial sector. And when you're talking about food industry, you're talking about food delivery industry, not necessarily traveling to get your food industry. Thank you.
And thank you for those questions. We live in a democracy, and I'm pleased to see that you have an opinion about the name Northgate Yard. But as if I may quote again, the leader of council did say, we're bringing a paper through. I say discussions will follow this. Clearly, there's a lot of feelings about it, and I will be irresponsible not to take those feelings, seriously. So, and again, it is your opinion about do-it-yourself stores and food stores, but it is food stores like the likes of, you sort of talk about transport, but food has to be transported, has to be delivered, people have to eat. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Julie Cordiner.
Yes, my question just briefly goes back to the proposed yard. Just with regards to the trees that were cut down, I was just wondering if there's an answer as to why they were all cut down all at once. Some residents that have spoken to me have thought that it was a cynical move before the spring and before nesting birds. So that's not a good image that residents have of the council. And also, just a quick question, did they need to be chopped down?
Thank you for that question. If that's okay with yourself, I might, I see Mr. Bams's hand's gone up. I think he'd like to answer that question. If I may, hand it over to him.
Thank you very much. Okay, members, I suppose I'm going to give you a little bit of a thought on some of this. This is a very major regeneration and impetus into the centre of Bridgewater, and therefore really important to Bridgewater and Sedgemoor. And as you well know, this development has come about because of substantial commitment of this council, very positive commitment of this council to a leisure scheme that brings with it enormous benefits to help reorientate our principal town centre. It's a major investment, major piece of confidence in it. And we do so both as developer and promoter. And we do so in the knowledge that the site is going to be fundamentally redeveloped. And in doing so, rightly, that we have to properly address the comprehensive landscaping and development of not only the scheme itself, but Breweryfield. Members have enthusiastically supported both the scheme itself and indeed Breweryfield. And you saw the plans, I think, at was it last council meeting or maybe the council before? So all of those you've seen, and you'll see that in that there is a substantial amount of planting is going to go on to produce a very much more improved Breweryfield, and indeed a huge investment in terms of the leisure scheme. And inevitably, in that the development has to have a site that is capable of being developed, and in so doing we needed to clear the trees and the vegetation, and that was always going to be the case in the site where the car park was. Does not mean to say that they won't be replaced. Indeed, they're going to be replaced far more in terms of trees, mature trees, than was the case, and you would know that because you've seen all the plans. And yes, the timing of it was done rightly so, that not to coincide with the nesting season. It's not a cynical process. It is actually what needs to be done, because clearly what we wouldn't want to do is well, you can't anyway, it's illegal to clear a site during the nesting season. So that's why the clearing was done at that time, and it was done comprehensively. And that was always going to be the case, because we're clearing the site for a comprehensive positive scheme. And I think it is important to remember what we're trying to do here, because it is a very positive injection. And in terms of the name, fundamentally we do need a name that is marketable, and a name that is recognisable, and a name also that coincides with the ability to start marketing this site as soon as we give the authority. And as you well know, the executive needs to agree the final contract, and will do so on the 21st of April, and we hope we're in a position to do that, and we should be. So it is a very important development, but as I say, let's forget that in development we do need to see that we're comprehensively redoing the site, and that we needed to clear the vegetation as part of that. But also, let's not forget what a very positive and big scheme this is, and how important and how positive that members have been in behind this development to get to the point that we are now at. And this is about to be starting the biggest investment this council's made. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Doug. Leader, did you want to add anything to that at all?
No, Mr. Bamsey said most of it. I will just reiterate that members had the press releases, have seen the plans. There's been no attempt to hide anything that may or may not be going on the site. I just hope all members have actually read the information that they've been given, which would help them talk to their members of the public that have contacted them. Certainly from a marketing point of view, it is exactly that. We need to market the site, and we need to market the site in a global environment. And that is one of the reasons for the naming of the site.
Thank you, Leader. No further hands or questions for Councillor Healy. I'll move on to Councillor Keane, Communities, Health and Wellbeing. Any questions for Councillor Keane? No. Okay, then we'll move on to item 8, committee chairman question time. Any questions for Councillor Filmer, Development Committee? No. Licensing and general purposes? No. Community Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Bruce? No. Corporate Scrutiny, Councillor Smedley? No. Thank you, members. Moving on, item 9, changes to shadow portfolio holders and outside bodies. Andrew Milhewish, I believe you're going to start with this.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman, members. Just to say, we've had some requests that have come through from the Labour Group to make some changes, as you can see on the paper there, to the shadow portfolio, Somerset Waste Partnership Scrutiny Panel and the Parrett Drainage Board. So over to you now, members. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to Councillor Brian Smedley.
Yes, I'd just like to ask the council to approve those 3 changes, if that's okay. Propose that.
Thank you.
Happy to support.
Okay, I think no debate on that then. It's pretty straightforward. If we can, anybody wishing to vote against or abstain? No, over to Andrew. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item 9. So the 3 changes are unanimously approved. Thank you very much, members.
Thank you. Members' question time, 10.1. Questions with notice. There is 1. And Andrew, again, you're going to read the question to Councillor Brian Smedley.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a question on notice that was received in line with the Constitution in time for this meeting, and it comes from Councillor Lisa Methley, which is to ask the Chair of the Corporate Scrutiny to update the Council on the lobbying of the government around the arrangements for virtual meetings to continue beyond May, given all the benefits around improved attendance and engagement, inclusivity and reduced carbon emissions. So over to Councillor Smedley to respond. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you to Councillor Methley for raising that very important issue. Corporate Scrutiny Committee did indeed look at this, and it's gone through the council system. And I'm going to ask Andrew Milhewish in a minute to update with some breaking news on that front. But clearly, it's very important that we continue to have either virtual meetings or some form of hybrid in future in order to address exactly the point she's raised about engagement, inclusivity, and reduced carbon emission. But there has been some developments in government. Other councils have also been lobbying government about this, and there's something going through Parliament at the moment. Maybe Mr. Milhewish could clarify exactly what's happened today on that front.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Smedley. Members, just to confirm that there are a number of organisations, the Association of Democratic Services Officers, lawyers in local government, supported by Hertfordshire County Council, who have submitted an application to the High Court to continue remote meetings beyond the 6th of May. Members may recall that under the coronavirus regulations, the regulations allowing us to not hold an annual council meeting and also to hold virtual meetings will expire on the 6th of May. So an application has gone into the courts, and we've been waiting for news of that for some time. And just hot off the press, there will be some press releases going out from the organisations that I mentioned earlier. So you will see some of that in national press, and as that becomes available, I will make that available to members for information. There was a hearing at court on yesterday, on the 23rd, and the court has issued directions for the matter to proceed to a hearing by the end of April. So we're now waiting for a date for that hearing. So hopefully that will come back and there will be a positive hearing, in as much as virtual meetings and all of the benefits that have been highlighted and demonstrated by the greater engagement and ease of attending meetings has afforded. So I will keep you abreast of that situation. And it's just also worth pointing out as well that government itself will be meeting tomorrow and discussing a motion to extend their current arrangements for continuing with their ways of working in the House up until the 21st of June. So whether that will then have any direct influence on the outcome of our requirements to continue will be interesting to see. But as I say, we'll keep members abreast of that situation as more news comes forward. So hopefully that question's answered now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that all, Councillor Smedley?
Yes, that's, I think, sums it up. Councillor Methley's happy with that.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.